I made a video in 2007 in my living room. So this is an interesting question. Is this video a video that's a bootleg of a game that I watched on TV? Or is it a video that's capturing a moment that I spent with my roommate when we were watching TV? The video I took with my cell phone, which is the Razr, a rather ubiquitous camera for a little while, and I sent it to YouTube. There's a limit of 15 seconds. About half of that video shows my wall, ceiling, floor, blurry roommate. You can hear us yelling and things like that. But within a few days of posting it, I received a notice from Major League Baseball's media division that I had infringed their copyright when I had made the video. And I was disturbed, largely because I don't think that they realized that I know kind of a lot about copyright. And I didn't really understand this process. So it led me to dig a little bit deeper and learn about how YouTube handles infringement and how YouTube handles its stewardship of the videos that we submit to it. I think that you'll be happy to learn my video is restored, although it took several months, and by that time I'm afraid people who would have enjoyed the video didn't get a chance to see it. So alas, it has only 88 views, most of which came from my colleagues in the MIT Free Culture group. And I had come to them with what I thought was a funny story about how my cell phone video was taken down. And then they kind of started talking back to me. We went back and forth and started a research project that's called YouTube that tracks what we try to find as the most popular videos on YouTube, ones that we think might be threatened, and see how long they live. How long does a video actually stay once it's hit the front page, or once it's got to the front page of Dig? So if it's a video of a baby dancing and it has 1 million views, all those 1 million views tend to be compressed into a short period of time, after which we expect that it stays on YouTube. But what we found with YouTube is that it actually doesn't. In fact, YouTube is slowly disappearing. And what's great about it is that this struggle, this tension around ownership and authorship in YouTube is very quiet. And YouTube's Decay, likewise, is very quiet. It doesn't leave that much of a trail, because our attention is often on only the most recent videos. So the ones that recede from the spotlight, we may expect that we can go back to that URL and find it again, only to receive a notice that it's been removed for lots of reasons, and copyright turns out to be just one of them. So I like this to bring the story back about 10 years. Because YouTube is in a place of tension, it's in a place of transition. We've kind of been living in a YouTube era that I sense is coming to a close. And so to understand where we're going next, I want to look at a different era that has already gone through a transition, and that has to do with online music sharing. So these are screenshots from a number of different methods that people use to share, download, find digital music files online, sometimes on the web, otherwise on the broader internet. The ones that are highlighted here are Scour, Aimster, and Napster, which were three of the best known, most visible in 1999. And in a short time, one emerged as the central service. And its visibility is what gave it power over the other three. So Scour and Aimster, they were equally useful. They had the same utility, very comparable feature set. But Napster is the one that would be mentioned on the news. Napster is the one that, grandparents, uncles, aunts, people could all relate to. And for that reason, we can think of the year 1999 to 2000. I think it's good to bracket as an academic year as the Napster era. It's already a little bit shorter than the YouTube era, but still a good comparison. So the Napster era comes in a very different kind of like technological surround. Very few people, compared to now, carried a cell phone. Nobody carried an iPod. And actually, relatively few people had high-speed internet. So Napster immediately hit with that population. We did have high-speed internet at home, dorm living college students. And it set this interesting stereotype of who the online music sharing population consists of. So at the time we thought it was like law, flaunting, cheapster kids, college students. They don't care about law, they don't care about artists. And it's easy to paint that stereotype. But upon reflection, after a few years, people realized that there were all kinds of emergent things that were occurring inside of Napster. So people were, like listening to a song before they wanted to buy it on CD. At that time, MP3s sounded pretty bad, and very few people had like good speakers on their computers. So even people that were using Napster might not want that to be the place where they listen to their favorite song, for example. But another really important one is people who say are a fan of North American music, but don't live in a place where there's a good distribution channel for music that comes from this place. So among internet users outside of the United States, the percentage of people who were registered users of Napster was higher than the number of people who lived in the US had internet access, kind of had a similar technological access. So that, to me, represents kind of like an interesting thing. And it goes to the example of the Indian diaspora who are using all sorts of web technologies now to access video and audio content that is produced from India. There is an era that follows Napster. We can think of it as the post-Napster era. And in many ways, it's more diverse, decentralized, richer. There's more music there. It gets to you through all kinds of different channels. There's recommendations, there are music blogs, there are enormous sites with torrents that you can download. But the thing is that something is lost when you move from a centralized service like Napster to a decentralized situation like we have today. So I feel like in this case, I'm kind of on the inside. Like, I know the blogs to go to get the music that I want. But what I don't have is that same kind of crossover. So I might be on the inside, I might have an invitation to like a private torrent site that I can go get the, like complete works of so-and-so. But it's not equally available to everybody. And so we have these situations like in the top left for you, you can see the iTunes Music Store. And for a lot of people, this represents the current era. iTunes Music Store is like reliable. The music is going to be high quality. You're going to get the right like artist names and song names and things like that. But the collection is comparatively limited to even just like a generous record store, you know what I mean? Likewise, a lot of people, so high school students that I used to work with, for example, a lot of them used LimeWire and decentralized services that emerged, like kind of overlapped at the end of the Napster era. So they're not susceptible to the same legal and technical kind of attacks, you might say, that had ended Napster era. But when you're there, you're also susceptible to viruses. The music is going to be all over the place. People like Soulja Boy, for example, are putting songs up that are theirs, but then they say like, oh no, this is a song by Britney Spears. And they just put different metadata in there. So it becomes kind of like a crapshoot. And as those people get financial means, often they move from LimeWire to using iTunes. So in a way, although there is a diversity of technologies available to us and methods that we can use, we kind of like we're stuck. We've lost a lot of the network effects. We've lost a lot of the accidental discoveries that come when everybody is looking into the same place.